Welcome back, viewer, to Chungu cha Jamii. I'm your host, Eunice Mugo. Today we are talking about drugs and substance abuse. I'm not alone. I have guests who are helping us to understand better on where we come from. Why are we addicted in the first place? Why are we abusing these drugs and substance in the first place? Send in your question, your comments across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa, or SMS line is 21144. So before we went on a break, I had asked a question of, we said we can have, from the blueprint, we can have now the genes disorder. My question is, can we manipulate these genes from me knowing I'm allergic to alcohol, I'm allergic to bang, I'm allergic to this, name the substance, just name it. Knowing that I'm allergic to it and changing the perspective of how I perceive I'm allergic, yes. Because if I know I'm allergic to egg as a protein, I tend not to take it simply because I don't want to get the rashes, I don't want to get the swelling, and name it the reaction of it. Now, can I change it from manipulate it to work to the better of me as a person?
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Eunice. I'm smiling because with the science I know, it's not possible to manipulate genes. However, the key thing here is awareness. If I know I have a challenge of the A1 gene, or my family has a challenge of a hereditary, problem, what do I do? Let me use a very common example of what people can connect with easily. Maybe I'm from a highly diabetic family, and I know this is something which can be passed through the genes. So, as Catherine, what do? I need to check on my lifestyle. What can make this gene, which is in me, be activated very fast, that I become diabetic and be on medication? I'll look at my diet, I'll look at my lifestyle, do I exercise? Do I expose myself to high levels of stress, which can trigger all this? So, if I am aware, and for us to be aware about the challenge of this gene in our family, we encourage families to look at what we call their family genogram. You look at your family history, who from your dad's side, your mom's side, is there, maybe my uncles, my parents' age, people who are drinking and drinking heavily, how has it been for them? My cousins, my grandparents, and you roll it back. We talk of four generations. So when you're able to pick that, it will be very clear that in this family, and not only substance use, even something like the mental health disorders and suicides, which have become very common. So if we are able to pick this, what do we do? This is where now I address myself and say, in my family and lineage, using substances, any mood-altering substance is a risk, and a very high risk. So the first thing is stay off. Stay off. So if the cravings and the desire to use are there, let there be this reminder. Channel that energy to something else, which can better your life. And what we really recommend for the family is, if you know your family history, start talking to your children from the earliest stage they can understand, so that they will know. It will become a culture in them, since you are tutumiangi, because it's already affecting us. Yes.
Coming to you, Mr. Benjamin. From where you're seated as a mind education specialist, what is your take on the same? Can you manipulate genes from where you're seated? And if yes or no, how are we able to help our people, or for one to understand their blueprint and be able to know themselves and walk out of such a...
I'm really thankful. Number one, You know, there is one man in the Bible. I always want to do research about what he spoke and why he spoke that. Why? Because it is God himself who said, that man is Solomon. He was the most wise man, and even God gave like a promise there would never be any other wise person like Solomon. There is a place that he spoke, and then he said, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Which means everything that you will ever see in a person, any kind of a behavior that you see with a person, all of them, they originate from the heart. You know, as my good friend said, you know, what is it that you speak to people? What is it that you discuss with people? What is it that when you meet with your friends you talk about? This is very key. Why? Also, as I go back to the spiritual part of it, from the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So depending on what is filling your heart, you'll always be speaking, isn't it? Still as well, you know, not unless we realize exactly where the problem is. Yes, these people, actually, when you see, to some extent, I don't know whether it's good to speak about myself, because one time I used to smoke bang. But I cannot tell why I started. I cannot even tell you why I got into it until I couldn't do without it. But I can tell how I came out of it. One, it started from that, you know, that kind of, you meet with your friends and then you are talking, they are smoking, and there is that point, it seems to be so good. Why? Especially when it's a chain, you know, it's a chain, you do it as a chain. So the next person to you, they do like this. So it means it's me, it's my turn. Because of that, it seems like it's fun. But for me, as I think about all these things, the problem is not the time that I started to smoke bang. The problem is not because I met with my friends. The problem is, number one, the core values that are put in your heart as you are young. You know, also it speaks about train a child on the ways of the Lord. And even when they grow up, they will not forget. They will not turn away from it. You know, one of the biggest problems is I am a parent. I have 3 kids. And it's not that they are young kids. Ni watoto ambao mmoja amemaliza shule and then others are in school. But, you know, I may train my kids very well. Yes, of course, me, I was trained very well by my parents because my grandfather was a reverend. So you know that life of you have a pastor in your home, and that, you know, that kind of mkikula lazima muombe, mkifanya nini, that kind of a life. But why is it that I got into that? It's not because of them. It's not because of any other thing. It all depends on what is it that I have in my heart. Sometimes I'm thinking continuously about the kind of society that we have. Yes, I keep my kids very well, but when they go to school, there is kind of life that they are living. You know, they meet with their friends, and then their friends are, you know, I smoke. Is it not a problem to your parents? No, it's not a problem. I drink. Yes, even sometimes with my father. And then my son is like, oh, then the life that I'm living with my father, is it the good life or this other life is the best life? So they are confused. In that, they tend to deviate from the good morals that you taught them.
Allow me to interact you. When you said you've been brought up well, and then, sorry to put you in the spotlight, you end up being in the same, not the good soul. Is it because of rebelliousness? Because now looking at it, when you said from your grandfather, he was a reverend. The only thing that came to my mind, pastors' kids or preachers' kids, family lineages preachers, they tend to be the most rebellious people in the society. Research has it that way. You can correct me if I'm wrong. And now, when you talk about confusion, my other question is, every house has a rule. So if our rule in this house is no, then should I be confused really? Because our rules are not the same as your rules as Benjamin's is not the same as Catherine's, is not the same as Eunice. Me, my kid, I could be cool taking alcohol with my kid. Those are our rules. Those are our family. Those are our values. That is what maybe we pride ourselves in. Because I can be able to go hang out with my kid. If he's at 12 years, I can give him or her car keys, go drive, go bring me A, B, C, D. Your place, it's different. Until you're 18 years old, you're not going to get my car keys. This is my car, not our car.
Yes.
We go to Catherine's house, it's different. So I'm trying to, as you continue with that, trying to understand, is this really confusion or is this not understanding where you're coming from as a family, what your values as a family are?
On this part, I will go back to the blueprint. And as I said, if there is a problem with the blueprint, it doesn't matter whether it's a 8-story building or whether it has a problem. And then you will realize that it has a problem later, not at the beginning. So the best thing is going back to the blueprint, and then you realize, where is this problem? And that's why this wise man was speaking and said, keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it are the issues of life. Yes, of course, I would say like this. I'm sorry, my mother passed on. But even though she passed on, she never, at any given time, she never knew whether the son was smoking marijuana. Why? You know, there is that tendency of kids pretending, I will not say that they are well, pretending that, yes, mom, yes, dad. But when the real thing comes out, when now they're speaking themselves, I'm me, I'm portraying my true me. This one, you cannot do it at your family level. Now, when you meet with your friends, it's when now you want to show them, yes, I can do it. But do you think like, yes, I can do it, is coming from the point that you have seen them doing it? No, it's not because it has come from your family. It is simply because of one thing. There is a problem in your heart. What is it that you contain in your heart? Number two, you know, most of the people, as I have seen many people, they live with their kids. You know, I have 2 boys. You know, these 2 boys, you know, we are living in a world, I don't want to call it like, we are not even on the world of electronics. You will not find many people using the digital TV. They're using the smart TV, or rather, I don't know, the other one. But for us as parents, we are on analog. And then you expect those kids who are not even digital, they are past that. You know, they know many things even more than you do. Yes, of course, you have experience on things that can mess their lives, but to them, according to the knowledge that they have, they think that I know much. You think like, you know, I'm sorry, I spoke about myself, but it's good that I'm speaking about myself. I think Catherine will bear me witness if anything happens, but I'm speaking about myself. You know, do you think when I started to smoke bang, I started because I thought my mother is wise than me? My mother is smart than me? I'm talking about my mother because my father left me when I was very young. So I was brought up by my mother. So one of the biggest problem is, You know, for me,
Allow me to interrupt you, because what you want to tell us seems very interesting and long. I'd want us to go on a quick break. Then when you come back, you'll come back on that note where you're going to tell us why you did that exactly. Viewers, send in your question, your comments across all our social media networks. That's GBS TV Africa. Our SMS line is 21144. We'll be back shortly.